Hello everybody, I got tagged by my friend Sharon in Dr. Daniel Nagases' actions. It's in the news too, but not in the good way, because the reality of it, it's fraud. He's a fraud, a fake, a phony. I don't have anything to do with him and a lot of folks who get involved in fictions, and that's what this is, a fiction of the law, the systems of old. We are a constitutional monarchy, folks, but we are no way near represented anywhere in our highest laws by the Magna Carta, designed based off ensure, which is a joke itself. All charters in constitutional monarchies are an absolute joke. Day one, almost 1,200 years ago, till today, 2023, under our current charter, 1982, which is a basis of Magna Carta. And they have never applied, and I'm going to say it again, if you haven't figured it out, we are a constitutional monarchy. We are defined either as savages or subjects. That's all there is. There is no citizen. Read your Citizenship Act. If you want to be a citizen, you want to be represented in grand juries, there are only two countries in the world that keep and continue grand juries, and USA is one of them. All 50 US states have a form of grand jury, if not an actual grand jury. If folks are interested in learning about the grand jury process, Liberia, USA, only two countries in the entire world that has them. Were they created in the monarchical system out of the former British Empire? Yes, and they were done away with a very long time ago. Canada held them in narratives for quite a while, which gets us into family rights, parental rights, children's rights, Canadian family law. All Canadians, all First Peoples, you have not had rights to your children as a first person, and that means defined under the Indian Act, because there is no legal definition of you in an Indigenous legal perspective or an Aboriginal legal perspective. Anyone telling you that is a fraud. When people like Dr. Daniel Nagases go forward in these fictions, they're actually doing you a great disservice when you follow along with their BS, and that's absolutely what it is. I've never liked the anti-vax movement because they've been based in absolute fraud and fiction. In all their attempts of legal speak, of all their narratives, it's always been 100% legal fiction, blatant fraud, and they get a lot of people to follow along. The most victimized people who fall into this fraud are absolutely the First Peoples of Canada, defined exclusively under the Indian Act. Again, I'm going to say it. Treaty Indian, unceded Indian, Métis, Inuit. If you get involved in things like maritime law, admiralty law, and a version of legal speak from a long gone, earlier than the British Empire system, and even following it in your own narratives from the British system, it does not exist. All you're doing is telling the world that you too are the savage. They narrate you that you can't understand a thing and that you deserve what you're getting. And then the world says to governments like Canada in constitutional monarchies, you're right. They can't govern themselves. They can't think for themselves. You're right. They're savages. keep doing what you're doing. And it's wrong. It's wrong on many levels. For Canadians defined as subjects, all those in the third class, your rights to your children, like all the Indian Act peoples in Canada that were removed from them since 1876, yours were taken absolutely in 1993. More than that, you'll find that all grand juries were removed in Canada then too. All British system, former colonial system in Canada, were absolutely removed then too. I gave more than enough in executive, legislative, and judiciary examples of the complete removal of parental rights that have always been the case, sadly, for all Indian Act peoples. Again, who is that? Treaty, unceded, Métis, Inuit. I don't know what else to tell you. The idea of Indigenous is a lie. It's as big as fraud as what Daniel Nagases trying to do. If anybody wants to see a real grand jury in a real legal system, you're going to see me working on that July 27th in Kansas City, Kansas. You're going to see a real one in a real case. A real one like the one that befell Lord Conrad Black, the complete and utter fraud, who took the Canadian citizens, the subjects under the Citizenship Act, for $1.1 billion as he put hundreds of millions into him and his wife's pocket on a wild, crazy, fraudulent spending spree. Now, what Dr. Daniel Nagases is trying to showcase is not represented in any variation of any law anywhere. And I mean anywhere. You won't find any legal system purporting anything that he's talking about. It's mumbo jumbo, fraud, complete lie. And I'm going to say again, everything on this through the executive, legislative, and judiciary I've presented in massive volume for average everyday Canadians. That's the law. I didn't write it. I didn't make the system. You want a grand jury system? Get on your politicians. Next time you see Pierre Poilievre, who looks like he's in contention for Prime Minister, get him to promise you a restoration. But I promise you he won't. Him and his other fellow Privy Council member, Jason Kenney, threw them all away. Pierre Poilievre and Jason Kenney did away with them under Stephen Harper while they were Privy Council, so that the criminal indicted, convicted, and sentenced who did massive time, who stole from Canadians, are you ready? $1.1 billion. And this guy still has an ultimate platform on Sun Media. He runs down subjects and savages as much as he possibly can. He's the equivalent of Canada's Holocaust denier. He hates the First Peoples, all Indian Act peoples. He wants you all gone, destroyed. And he's well loved for that, not only in UK, but he's well loved in Canada. After he bled all of you, after just trying to steal a few $100 million out of California and New York, and he got punished to the extreme. And because of Trump and giving him a full pardon, this guy has gone on to continue to report in New York Sun media groups all the way through to California Sun media groups. Fraud, fraud, fraud. Daniel Nagases isn't doing anyone any favors. All he's doing is destroying what's left of any shred of credibility of any of us fighting to try to free the First Peoples and all Canadians, defined exclusively as subjects and savages. Admiralty law, maritime law, Magna Carta, and grand juries. do not exist in any enforceable way in Canada. Zero, none whatsoever. In fact, zero in all of the Commonwealth. And in fact, all of the other civil law socialist countries worldwide. I'm going to say it again. Any variations of any grand jury systems for and by the people exist only in the United States and Liberia. That is it. That's all she wrote. More public inquiries, and this is going above the video. Public inquiries. What is a public inquiry in Canada? It means that any of the findings in a public inquiry means zero prosecution against all state officials. Meaning, go on your public inquiries, like COVID. We did that, remember? Oh yeah, who has that done? And I wanted to do this video on all the fraudulent Western parties under the Conservatives who took big fat checks. And you all race to it, all Daniel Smith's friends, and they're going to do a great service for you. You can't seek any justice. You can't sue. You can't do diddly-do Canada-wide because you went through a public inquiry. They all get off scot-free. Doesn't matter how much evidence. What's going to happen to Daniel Nagases? Guilty, convicted, going to get awarded court costs, going to absolutely lose his entire family case. Goodbye. You've been reduced from first-class citizen to third class. Welcome to the party. Hey, at least you should be happy. It could be worse. You could be a savage people defined under the Indian Act. You get it even twice as bad as us, the lowly, degenerate third-class citizens. But that's who Daniel Nagases is. And in his anger, in his rage, and in all his lunatic following friends who continually create all these fictions that suck so many of you in, are actual propagandas from the British Commonwealth to make us look stupider and useless and no good on the world stage, so that way they can lump us all into one group of no good nothings who don't deserve to be real citizens, don't deserve an hour's focus from any kind of mainstream, zero whatsoever. And that's why I walked away from it. The lies, the fictions, the constant babble and baloney that only leads to destroying what little credibility we fight for tooth and nail, and it's taken away. That's my video, and if any of you really care about the truth, you'll share this and you'll shut this lunatic down. You'll stop following him, because it's you who's allowing the system to move even faster. It's you who's supporting that wrong narrative. It's you that's destroying all forms of credibility. You're leaving us with none. But you want to see credibility? You want to see the process of the grand jury system? You're going to watch me July 27th. And I've been under extreme pressures in my Canadian system through the corruption of the back door and the American one. But we'll see what comes of it. But please, folks, I've never followed any of it because it's fraud. I stay in the truth section. Anyone who wants to be in the fiction section, it's why I don't bring you with me. I can't, because you will destroy all the First Peoples and all the people of Canada, the little people. And I am not going to waste all the years, time, and energy building something just to throw it away on nut jobs and frauds. I get enough of that from the first class. I don't need throwbacks from the first class that are angry that they lost their seat in that system and then want to make an ass out of all of us. No thanks. I'll continue in the truth, and the truth will prevail. I have faith in that. And to do that, you have to stay vigilant. I'm not mad at anybody. I know people get roped in, but I know for Sharon and I know for Ian, you guys know enough to know I'm a good man and I don't lie. And I stand my ground when I gotta stand my ground, because there's a lot of First Peoples and a lot of Canadians that deserve better. And what good are we if we can't stand for the truth, no matter where the lies come from, where the darkness comes from? And I'm sorry, that whole anti-vax and Daniel Nagases, lies, lies, fraud, 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 and lies. You can never justify your actions through fraud or full-blown lies. Sorry. And I have nothing but ample loads to discredit everything that man says in his supposed legal speak, or anyone he's brought forward. And anyone who does that, you're only asking to be stamped down by more and more of Canadians and your fellow First Peoples. It's sick, it's wrong, it's disgusting, and I won't be a part of it. Thanks. Share, share, share. Credible, real, verifiable. You want to see the power of the grand jury system legitimately? Watch me on July 27th. I'll be in the United States of America looking to present that. Bye now.